Today, our case will be about the notorious Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yes, and in recent history, it's been re-sensationalized and re-talked about, and it's been back in the press, but I don't know. Something about the way you tell it today, Mom, really, and you'll be able to see it in real time. I went from being like, oh, well, to being like, you know what? I'm glad this guy got his head bashed in prison.
All right. Well, you'll want to stay tuned then. We're going to tell you all about it.
Yep. So buckle up. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Welcome back to our channel, Two Peas in a Crime Pod. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my mama, Kelly. She does all the heavy lifting around here. Big guns Kelly over here. That's you. That's what I'm calling you from now on.
Oh, really?
Big Guns Kelly. Like Yosemite Sam.
Okay. Welcome to the gun show.
That's it. There it is.
This is my lovely, witty, charming, and special daughter, Courtney. She comes to the podcast not knowing what we're going to be talking about, and she responds in real time, giving us her opinions and with lots of wit and humor. We love her. She is the life of the podcast.
Raise the roof.
Raise the roof.
Raise the roof. Mom's already yawning. Oh, it's going to be a long one.
No, I wasn't yawning.
No, just kidding.
I was getting parts of the cashew out of my tooth.
Oh, okay.
I had some cashews.
That's an important distinction.
So it wasn't a yawn.
She's got nuts in her mouth.
I am a little perturbed this morning.
I should have known that.
I'm a little off. So we have to apologize for the sound on the last, somewhere in the last 3, there were 2 that had some sound issues because apparently our connector on Courtney's microphone, she cuts in and off if she even
This thing's a piece of shit.
If she even barely touches the wire. So
my arm was bumping the cable last time every once in a while, and then it would like lose sound.
So then I'd have to go to the phone sound, which sounded different, or I would just use the sound that was coming off of my microphone so you could barely hear her. So it was a little perturbing. And so I called my son, who is the producer at this studio, to ask his opinion, and he gave me no good answers.
He said, it's not called a connector. Why are you calling? It's not even what it's called. That's not even what it's called. Oh, you mean the cable? That's not, Christopher, that's not helpful.
The XLR cable?
Oh, and she was like, sure, whatever the fuck it's called, I'm telling you it's broken. And he was like, it's not. I'm telling you it's not. And we were like, we have fucking recording evidence. We have actual evidence that it is. Christopher, it's fucking fucked.
So now I'm a little flustered. I got to get my blood pressure down because talking to him has flustered me, and worrying about the cable cutting in and out, which messes up my editing abilities immensely because then I can't use the noise reductor or anything because her voice sounds weird.
Makes her whole fucking life hard.
It just, now I got to buy a new XLR cable. I'm probably saying it wrong. It's probably LXR, whatever.
STD.
Christopher, thanks for nothing. I'm just kidding. But I am flustered. Are we recording?
Yeah, we're recording.
Wonderful.
Yeah, look, when I got real loud, see how it
went into the...
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, the danger zone.
Danger zone.
Oh, so yeah, what did we record? The 3-parter last time was over...
It was about a person.
What person? I can't even remember. This is how flustered I am.
Hold on, I was there. It wasn't Michael Jackson. It was Kenny Loggins. No. Why Kenny Loggins? Oh, because I said Danger Zone. It was John Lennon.
It was John Lennon, which I totally know. I just spent several days editing.
I said Kenny Loggins because you said Danger Zone, and that's the only name that was going in my head.
Highway to the Danger Zone. Okay. Yes. All right, I'm starting to feel a little bit more like myself. So
see, you're all right. Everything's okay. And then you spilled the coffee.
Oh yeah, then I bumped the table on.
Yeah, I wonder how much. I wonder how much of the stains on this. Like, there's a candle wax stain over there that just looks like a cum stain, and I hope it's in the shot. It's beautiful.
It's not in the shot.
If you're seeing glares or it looks like icing or jizz, it's just old bits of coffee and candle wax. What's today's case?
Okay, so I have a really good case for today, and I am personally fascinated by this case. I know you know about the case. I don't know how much you know about it, but you're going to learn a lot today.
You're about to learn today.
Or else you're just going to be able to comment what you do know, because it is a well-known case.
Okay, I'm excited. I never know what the fuck you're going to say, because sometimes it's like some random murder from the 70s, and then sometimes you're like, oh, John Lennon, and I'm like, which was also kind of like a murder in the that was 80s, but yeah, I'd never know. I never know where in the world
we're going today.
Yes.
Yeah. So
buckle up.
Welcome
To Illyria.
I was so flustered. I forgot to say, please, if you're not already subscribed, consider subscribing and liking our video.
Like
also,
and subscribe.
She has to do her little
like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Subscribe now. Do it. Do it.
I love your jingles. Real-time jingle tracks to our podcast.
I'm really cool like that.
So yeah, and please feel free to leave a comment. We love those.
Yes, comment. We love getting comments.
If you're already subscribed, we thank you for coming back and watching this episode. Hope that you're enjoying it.
For already subscribed, what's up? What's up, friend? What's up, fam? I saw my friend Tim over the weekend, and while we were out, he literally pulled up the video, or he went like this, and he said, "Look right here, you see that?" And I was like, "Oh, you're subscribed to our podcast." And he was like, "Yeah, yes, I am." And I was like, "What did I promise you? What did I say that I promised something, didn't I, in one of the episodes?" And he said, "Yeah, you said that if I subscribed to your channel that you would let me put my hands in your Titmus sweater."
Oh.
And I was like, "Well, you can grab my tits if you want, I guess." I did promise.
Tim.
He didn't. He's a gentleman.
Guy. He is too much of a gentleman to actually
He thought about it.
Force that on you.
Yeah.
I'm sure he did think about it.
If I'd have been wearing the sweater, maybe. But I was not. I was wearing a t-shirt, so.
He might have in a jokey way. He wouldn't have, felt you up, though, for real.
Not in public.
But
I was like, well, fuck. But a promise is a promise. So if you see me out and you're subscribed and you prove it to me, I guess I got to let you put your hands in my sweater.
All right, I have to do a viewer discretion.
Yes.
This is a crime channel, and we're going to be talking about nasty crimes today. So if you're going to be triggered by that, turn it to another fucking channel.
Viewer discretion is advised, motherfucker. Yeah, we're going to talk about crime on a crime channel. Crime includes violence and gore and abuse.
We are talking about Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh, boy.
The serial killer of serial killers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Dahmer. Doing it.
Dahmer.
Little Jeffy Dahmer.
Do you know about the ins and outs of this case, or just the basics?
Yes. Do you know that he went to high school where Doug went to high school?
I did not know that.
Yes. He went to the same, I can't think of it right now because names are hard, but up in north of here. Hold on, if I think for a second, I'll think of where he lived. That's just where Doug lived. Oh my God, my brain doesn't work anymore. It's up off 303. I can think, on a map, I know exactly where it's at, and I just can't think of the name of the town.
I have it here as well, and I forget the name.
When you say it, I'll be like, yeah, that was it. But anyways, I was watching a rogue documentary on Jeffrey Dahmer, like not one of the more mainstream ones, but something about like the science behind serial killers, the mind of a serial killer. And one of the episodes was on him, and it went through and it showed like the high school, and I took like a Snapchat, and I was like, only losers go here. And I sent it to Doug. But yeah, no, Doug has this amazing story where across the street from the family home of Jeffrey Dahmer, where he lived when he lived in Ohio, was a house where like Doug and his friends used to hang out. And then obviously there's an age difference there because Jeffrey Dahmer's older than my friend Doug by a little bit, or would be. He's dead. But when they started the investigation in Ohio and they found out that there was remains in Ohio and they started the investigation there.
Yeah.
Doug was like at a house party across the street and they
No
had
way.
like all of the crime tape and stuff. And they're like, what the fuck is going on over there?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He lived like right down the road
The
from that.
7 degrees to Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah. He lived like not far from there at all. Like when we go for drives and he drives around up there, cause that's where he's like from and he knows the area and stuff. So we go out to eat up in that area. We drive past it all the time. And that was on the UPS route that I was the manager of, was that area.
Okay.
And can I think of it? I was the manager of that territory and can I think of the name of it? No.
Oh.
3:00 in the morning, it'll
come to you.
It'll pop in there.
Right.
God, it's making me
There's
mad
so
that
much
I
in
can't
your
think.
brain right now rattling around with the things on your machine that you're learning. And
Oh yeah, I'm back in college too, which is why I'm wearing my fucking pajamas and I look like a homeless bitch today because I'm
she started back to school. This is what, week 2?
in the thick of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're court reporting. That's what you're learning.
Yes.
Right. That's what it's
Yes.
called.
It's
court
stenography.
reporting. Stenography.
Yeah, it's like a whole new language, but it's a written language, not a spoken language. So I'm learning a new language. And it's intense. But anyways, that is neither here nor there. I wish that I could think of I'm getting an S, but it's not Springfield. But
Stowe.
It's not Stowe. Stowe is north, but Stowe is northeast, like that way.
Mm-hmm.
And we are northwest. This is gonna piss me off. You're gonna say it at some point. I'm sure you're gonna say it, and I'm gonna look on my map while
I
you're doing
actually
that.
don't know that I have it in here.
Hold on. I will literally just pull it up on my fucking map because, like I said, I know exactly where this fucking house is, and I know exactly what I'm talking about. I just can't think of the name of it.
Just type, where did Jeffrey Dahmer live in Ohio?
All right, so it's north of the falls. There's Route 80. It's south of that. Richfield. It's Richfield.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what I'm speaking of. I will put in what high school, because that's where the Coliseum was. It's where like the Cavs used to play. It wasn't up on the water in Tower City. It used to be at the Coliseum, which is now like a fucking field.
Yeah, I know nothing about anything sports wise. So
well, I wouldn't
when you
have
say
known
the Coliseum, I think of Italy.
the Rome. It's in Rome.
Yes.
No, I wouldn't know that either. Except
I'm like
for Doug
picturing
told
a
me.
Coliseum.
Like Doug was like, this
Richfield.
vacant lot is where we used to come to watch games and stuff. Because I only know it being up in Cleveland, and I've only ever seen the Cavs play once. Because I don't give a fuck either. But
okay,
other people might be like, oh, right, or they're not from Ohio, and they're like, I don't know, and I don't care. Jeffrey Dahmer High School, Escuela. ¿Dónde es escuela? Revere High School in Bath, Ohio. It's Bath. Yes.
Bath. That is in here, but it's about where I think it's the one victim was from. Anyways, I don't know why I didn't put his location in Ohio in here.
Yeah, you would think that you hit hard on that since that's where we're from, but that was like his very early days. That was like his very first victims when he was like testing shit out.
Mm-hmm.
Before he got overly creative like he did when he moved
to Milwaukee.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But
Wisconsin.
Yeah, he was living with I want to say his grandma.
Yeah. He was living with his grandma.
That's in Bath. Yes.
And then he moved into an apartment. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
No, he was living with his parents in Ohio.
Okay. Was it his parents?
Yes. Let's just talk about it.
I thought they moved away. I thought he was like living alone.
We're going to get there. We're going to get there.
Jeffrey Dahmer's a weird case.
You're getting ahead of me.
I want to have empathy for him because he just seems...
He's attractive.
No, that's not even it. Well, okay.
I don't mean he is attractive physically, but his demeanor.
Yeah.
The way that he cares about, he knows he's wrong.
Yeah. He has like there's a likability to him.
Yeah.
That I haven't felt about.
But I don't like him in reality. But
other killers. And I'm not yeah. Like obviously
I'm disgusted
he did
by
terrible,
him,
terrible things.
And Yeah, we'll talk about it.
It's weird. It's just a weird case. I'm
Mhm.
sure most people know of this case. I don't think that we're breaking the news to anybody. I will be shocked if somebody says, your podcast is the first I've ever heard of this man.
You know, overseas, they might not. They might not. You never know.
After the fucking Netflix monster special about him.
Yeah. What am I talking about?
Yeah, that one, if there was anybody who still hadn't heard of him, I think that one probably fucking did it in. Now,
Okay.
I had heard about him, obviously, way before that came out, but that was pretty sensational. They sensationalized it.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't watch it.
But I think Evan Peters did an amazing job. I think he really...
The Dahmer movie.
He hit the core of...
I started watching it and immediately just wanted to throw up and felt like this is a terrible thing to have on here with so much detail. And
yeah,
I just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
They left nothing to the imagination.
No.
That one, I liked the Jeffrey
I had to
Dahmer
shut it off.
one.
I couldn't watch it.
And I liked the brothers, out what California, the brothers who killed their parents.
Yeah.
Name.
Yeah. The
Menendez. The Menendez brothers. I like that one. The Ed Gein one that just came out. They're at this point, it's just they're just trying to fucking get views. I feel like it's so lost the fucking plot anymore. Now it's just being sensational for the sake of being sensational.
Okay.
Don't bother.
Okay.
I thought it was a fucking waste of time.
I'll take your word for it then, because
yeah, I felt like I wasted my life watching that one. But anyways, don't go watch Netflix. Watch our YouTube channel.
That's right. This is going to
We'll tell you everything you need to know.
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about him. So, born May 21st of 1960. His father, Lionel Dahmer, was an analytical chemist, and he was very emotionally distant as a father. Did you know he was a chemist?
I knew he was something smart. I knew he was like a
smart guy, which is
highly educated.
Like, you can tell Jeffrey Dahmer is a smart person.
Yeah, I would say the chemist thing kind of clicked. He got pretty fucking creative with chemicals and ideas and
yeah. All right, his mother's name is Joyce, and she actually suffered severe mental illness, and she had frequent hospitalizations as well. So that says a lot about genetic, obviously Dahmer has mental illness.
Yeah, I would say that there's a clear case of issue with nature and nurture here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
I think that he lacked that connection as a baby that babies need. The bonding, the proper bonding with mother and father, especially with mother, and then through your youth.
And then he just had genetic
chemical
psychopathy, whatever
instability,
whatever that brain thing that they're missing.
Yeah,
that normal people have that allows you to feel feelings in a normal way. Psychopaths are missing it, and it takes something huge for them to just feel like we do if we.
Yeah, the empathy switch is just off.
Yeah.
It just fucking disconnected. There's not even a fucking wire behind it.
Yeah.
Like,
and not all people that have that problem become killers. They become, they fly to the moon, or
they become successful business people. Or,
I'm not saying the people that flew to the moon were psychopaths.
That's what she just said.
I'm just trying to say that
astronauts.
They're thrill seekers. What I'm trying to say is they're thrill seekers, and that's how they get that. And rather than murdering, they seek a thrill, like bungee jumping, or, all bungee jumpers are psychopaths. That's what I'm saying.
Mom's making a clear correlation today.
Open mouth, insert foot. Anyways, let's talk about
bungee jumping, slippery slope to fucking murder.
Let's talk about Dahmer. I didn't hear anything about him being a bungee jumper or, an astronaut.
NASA didn't want him, so he was like, all right, well, I'm going to kill dudes.
That's it. The home environment was described as cold, chaotic, and unstable. So it was a rough childhood. His parents divorced when he was a teenager. He was actually 18. And He had grown up in constant warfare between the parents fighting. It wasn't just fighting. There's no documented criminal charge for spousal assault,
As there often wasn't back then.
but multiple sources, including Lionel's memoir and court records, described a household marked by screaming matches that went on for hours. I kind of grew up with that, and it's hard on a kid.
I feel like a lot of kids did. Yeah.
There were threats of divorce, abandonment, and institutionalization. You know, dads threatening to have mom institutionalized.
I'll just put you away as your crazy bitch. And
yep. And then objects being thrown, doors being slammed, and property being damaged.
yeah, just living in fight or flight, but to the point that it's not even adrenaline rush anymore. Like you're just triggered all the time, like eggshells, you know?
Yeah.
That's very hard on your body. And again, I'm not like sympathizing with Jeffrey Dahmer because a lot of people grew up.
Well, as a psychopath, would that have even really done much?
I would say by the time that he was 18 and they were divorced, I don't think that any of that was triggering him anymore. I think he was pretty flat.
If you don't have that thing in your brain, can any of that actually even cause a major reaction? Or are you just kind of like living in this hell? You're seeing it go on. You're not learning any good skills. You might be judging.
No, I get what you're saying. You're right. I think it just is up for debate is if you think that he was completely void of all feeling and was just a true 100% psychopath, like a sociopath.
I mean, based on some of the things that I learned in my research, that's what I'm leaning towards. Like he had the hurting.
Yeah, he did. He had all of the,
you know,
the triad. I don't think he started fires really, but
I don't think he started fires or was a bedwetter, but he did have he was fascinated with dissecting animals.
He was, but okay. So that's exactly why I was saying, I guess it depends on how you feel about Jeffrey Dahmer, because he did have these like seemingly morbid curiosities, but I'm devil's advocate, strictly devil's advocate. Again, I'm not here. I'm to support Jeffrey Dahmer or speak highly of him or sympathize with him or any of these things. But what are taxidermists? They're people who literally take dead animals' skin and scrape the meat out and then restuff them and put fake eyes in them. And is that not fucking weird? Is that not who fucking as a little boy, like little boy or girl is like, I want to grow up and get into taxidermy.
Yeah,
like
I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? Like, don't some of us have weird hobbies anyways? I'm right now trying to make a podcast about murder and crime and violence my job that will make me money. Isn't that a little fucked up? Like, don't we all have some weird shit? You know what I mean? So do I believe that him being fascinated by animals' insides when he was little is a part of the triad of sociopathy? Well, what we know now, yeah, seems like it, but couldn't that also have been a person who would have been an amazing biologist and wasn't grossed out by blood and guts?
That's
but
the point I was going to make is most children would see that and it would just make them vomit. I mean, they wouldn't see it and be like, oh, let's see more of that. I mean, even the smell would just make you vomit because he was attracted to dead animals. He didn't actually kill the animals. He liked to find dead animals that were already dead.
And see, when you say that, you're saying it like that makes you feel weird. And when you say that to me, that takes out the part where like he wanted to take the life from something and he was fascinated by like watching it take its last breath or bleed out. Or
he didn't have any of that.
No, he wasn't doing that. He was finding animals that were already dead, which, yes, as a part of your biology supposed to be repulsed by that smell of death. Yes. But what if he had like a smelling problem? What if he had like lacked a sense of smell and that's why it didn't bother him and he was just fascinated? There are people that work for the fucking FBI who catch people like Jeffrey Dahmer who go to the fucking body farm and learn about maggots and learn about decomposition. There are people in college right now that like that is like their passion in life.
It's called like Potter's Field or something.
Yeah, yes. So how is that? You know, I don't necessarily think that it means that's why Jeffrey Dahmer to me is such a weird case because he had these things that are weird and they're not of the norm. And I don't think that necessarily is what landed him where he, I don't think that is where the trajectory started to where he ended. You know what I mean? I think that in a better environment with more stable parents and stuff, maybe he could have been the best FBI fucking agent ever because he was the one who learned about, you know, discovering your core temperature, you know, of a corpse, you know. Yeah. He could have been the one that interest. Yes, like
it developed young.
And I think that he did know that it was weird. And like if you ever listen to interviews with him, he was like,
that's what I liked about him.
Because he would like
he was interested in his own mental problems.
Yeah, because I think that he was like, yeah, I knew it was weird, but like I couldn't resist. Don't we all do things that are like weird? Yes, but like, and again, he took it too far. And like I said, he did stuff that was unforgivable. Absolutely.
Well, as an aside, psychopathy is actually not one of his diagnoses. He is diagnosed as antisocial. Social,
yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that a psychopath. No. I don't think that he... I think that his is just a different kind of case. I think that he had severe abandonment issues to the point of losing empathy for the other person's life to fulfill his own needs. He put himself first. He was extremely selfish and narcissistic in a way to try to incapacitate another person in order to keep them with him. And that shows a level of selfishness and, you know, just blatantly wrong. Mm-hmm. But
no, that's actually
it's not like sociopathic, like wanting. It wasn't about torturing them. It did torture them. It did. That's exactly all that it did.
That's not what he was getting off on.
His intentions, right? He had like his interests weren't, or they didn't seem to be based on like
the killing.
The killing was not what was making him hard. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's not what he was in it for.
It was the death.
It was trying to keep them around. And then even after they died, trying to keep them around, like just to not feel alone. Like just deep rooted issues, but not your typical person who just goes out to like wreak havoc and like gets off on wreaking havoc and hurting someone. And
well, I'm on page 1. I have 25 pages and
we're never
going to
get to this. I know.
For like it's probably 40 minutes now.
I know. We're never going to get through this.
Let me talk about his childhood.
Okay.
So there was emotional volatility that frightened the neighbors and Jeffrey. So it says that he was frightened. Lionel later described the home as feeling like it was always on the edge of explosion. So Joyce was suffering from severe depression, anxiety, possible undiagnosed borderline or bipolar disorders. she had heavy prescription drug use of barbiturates and sedatives. Her episodes would include public breakdowns, hospitalizations, screaming fits that neighbors could hear, and erratic behavior that embarrassed and isolated Jeffrey at school. Well, she sounds like me. I know that's what you were thinking.
No, I wasn't. Why would you say that?
This made the family well known locally as troubled. So, as the marriage ended, police were called to the home multiple times for domestic disturbances.
I was just going to say, this sounds a lot like my childhood. I didn't end up fucking killing and eating people.
The divorce proceedings became contentious and hostile, and Joyce accused Lionel of emotional cruelty, while Lionel accused Joyce of instability and neglect. So these fights were not hidden, though. They involved, the public, lawyers, doctors, social services, neighbors, and then the courts.
Yeah.
So it was very public, which...
And for a child, that's very humiliating, and it really erodes your self-esteem and makes you feel like you're being judged or like people know about you. And that could all, it's an anxious feeling. Maybe your neighbors don't even give a fuck and haven't even noticed.
But
and like,
you feel that way.
You feel like, how
or
could
you
they
can
not
feel that way?
Yes. Or God forbid, just one neighbor does say something to you like, oh, I saw the cops at your house. Now you're thinking that must be what everyone on the fucking street thinks about me. And now if so facto, everybody at school is going to think that or whatever. Like,
it's a very, very good point.
You do have to, it does make you feel judged. And so then even school or playing outside becomes an eggshell situation because you feel bad about yourself. Yes. It does something to your self-esteem and your character during those already very formative years and tough years when you're a child or when you're a teenager and hormonal and
exactly.
Again, no reason to go around fucking killing and dismembering people. Again, I'm not sympathizing with him. I'm just saying typical psychology. That's how you would feel.
Right. Well, after the divorce finalized, Joyce abruptly moved out of the family home, and she took Jeffrey's younger brother, but she left Jeffrey alone in the house for weeks. At the time, he was 18 years old, so it's not like she was committing a crime, but he was also actively alcoholic, very emotionally detached and isolated. And she just left him there like that.
Yeah.
The abandonment happened immediately before his first murder. Yeah. That detail is often emphasized by the psychologists and criminologists who study his case, and they consider it significant.
Yeah, that kind of escalating environment.
Yeah, without excusing him, experts often point to this period as reinforcing themes that later defined Dahmer's crimes. And
yeah.
It was the fear of abandonment, as you said, the desire to control whether someone leaves, as you said, the emotional numbness, which was helped along by his alcoholism.
Yes.
And the preference for non-responsive bodies.
I think that the extreme alcohol abuse at such a young age with so your brain is still forming, right? When you're a teenager, even at 18, your brain is still forming, not done yet.
Oh, yeah. Especially for men.
Let alone the fact that it had already, chemically inside the brain not been forming quite right because of all this shit going on. And then you have whatever might have been passed down from the mom, so there's other issues maybe there. And then you start adding in excessive drinking, which literally causes the brain to not grow and form right at that young age. I think he literally had his brain was fucked up. Like
literal brain damage.
Yeah, actual brain damage. And to the point of maybe being a little bit of the excuse for his crimes. Do I think that if he could have got sober and into counseling, that he might not have done those things? Yeah, I kind of do. Unlike other sociopaths where I think that there was nothing fucking mattered.
Right.
I think that he could have ended up on a different path.
Well, Dahmer later said it wasn't anger I just didn't want them to go. So, describing his crimes. He didn't kill them because of anger or
Right.
anything like that.
It wasn't like the typical freak out control, like loss of control, rage that most like sociopaths and narcissists experience.
No.
It was like,
I can't allow you to leave me.
Like,
I can't allow
sadness.
you to leave me.
Yeah. Like, yes. Like just a weird, like, no, please don't go. Please don't go. Please don't, like.
Yeah. Well, there were definite childhood red flags. He was withdrawn and socially isolated. He was fascinated with animal carcasses. He'd collect roadkill, dissect the animals using tools learned from his father, and he actually preferred dead animals to living people. And he began drinking before the age of 14. So by the time Jeff reached adolescence, he was known at school as odd and quiet and emotionless. Classmates reported fake seizures and strange behavior. Why do you suppose he was doing that? The seizures.
Fake seizures?
Mm-hmm. I'm just curious about that. Like, why?
I would assume just attention.
I guess so.
Maybe trying to.
He's just a weirdo.
Maybe trying to get out of class.
They just thought he was acting
maybe
weird.
Trying to,
odd behavior.
Trying to get attention. I don't know. But then you also rope in the fact that he was probably dealing with homosexual feelings at that young age, which is hard for any young person when they're coming into their sexuality at all. That's a hard time for people, let alone if you're dealing with homosexual feelings, especially back then when it was even still not still very taboo and not acceptable. Even now, it still is. I still have friends that are afraid to fucking come out because of what their family might say or how people are going to treat them. It's still not
well
really,
received. Yeah,
it's a terrible thing to go through still, unfortunately. So, and you're saying by the time he was 14, he was already drinking. He probably started having feelings. He's going through puberty. He has all these other things weighing on him already.
Maybe it was just a way of acting out.
Yeah, just...
Well, he had no close friendships in school at all because of these weird behaviors. But okay, Jeffrey's first kill was in 1978. So he was 18. It was shortly after he graduated high school and his parents divorced when his mother left and he was alone in the house. So the first victim was Stephen Hicks. He was actually also 18 at the time of his murder. He was a recent high school graduate who lived in Bath Township. I knew it, I had it in there somewhere.
It's Bath, yeah.
A quiet rural area outside of Akron, Ohio. Steve was described by his family as friendly and independent and adventurous. Like many teenagers in the late 70s, he hitchhiked casually, especially for short distances. It was like this era of love. And the teens had this feeling of hitchhiking as part of that.
Getting to know people, getting around.
Yeah.
Everybody's helping everybody.
Yes.
Everybody's, it's just a way to like meet people and see the world and yeah.
Yep.
And then some people have to come along and fucking ruin it for everybody by being weirdos.
Right.
Fucking taking advantage of people.
Well, Steve had plans for his future, and there was no known history of risky or criminal behavior. He was not involved in drugs or sex work or crime. He was just doing something common and socially accepted at the time, which was hitchhiking home from a local event.
Yep.
So the day was June 18th, 1978. Stephen had attended a rock concert at Chippewa Lake Park, and he intended to hitchhike home afterwards. The driver who picked him up was Jeffrey Dahmer, who was also 18 years old. Dahmer was recently graduated, living alone at his parents' house and drinking heavily, completely unsupervised. He offered Stephen beer and conversation. Just suggested stopping at his house to drink. Stephen, again, because this is the hippie era of love.
Well, Andy's thinking it's a kid my age.
Yeah.
It had to be disarming. It had to be like, oh, actually, that sounds pretty cool. You're like, yeah, let's chill. Like,
he just accepted, no indication of fear or suspicion.
Yeah.
It was just, that's what people did back then. You just met strangers and just treated each other like you'd known each other.
Who knows? I assume we're only ever getting this told back by Jeffrey.
Yes.
Maybe he was fucking. Maybe there was something like, I don't know, I'd really like to go. And, Jeffrey just was like, no, it won't be a big deal. Maybe it wasn't comfortable, but he was in one of those situations where he just was like, okay, we don't really know.
We don't really know.
The only person who ever tells how it went was Jeffrey.
I just feel like because he was so forthcoming with a lot of the horrible things, that it wouldn't be hard for him to be forthcoming about something that's, if he was having weirdness, I
agree.
think he would say.
There was a certain honesty to him that even when other people like John Wayne Gacy, if you're familiar with the clown case.
The clown case.
He comes across like he's being very honest, but you can tell that he's not genuine, that everything is kind of in his favor.
A manipulation.
Through his, telling is, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Whereas like Jeffrey, it doesn't come across tipped one way. It just comes across as like, this is what happened.
Yeah.
Just flatly, like,
and
this is
saying,
what happened.
I know this is weird, but it just is what it is.
Yeah, there was something where you're like, I just feel like I can trust you. I wouldn't want to necessarily be alone with you, but I feel like I can trust what you're saying to be truthful.
Yeah. Well, according to Jeffrey, after drinking together, Dahmer began making sexual advances towards Stephen, and Stephen rejected him. Stephen said he wanted to leave.
Yeah.
And that moment was crucial because when he stood up to leave, Dahmer panicked. And later he said he felt a feeling of fear, this deep abandonment, and a total loss of control. And he struck Stephen with a barbell, which rendered him unconscious. And that's when Dahmer just strangled him while he was unconscious. So Stephen Hicks died in the living room of that house. And it was not pre-planned in the way Dahmer's later murders were, but it permanently crossed the line for him.
Yes.
Over the following days, Dahmer dismembered Stephen's body, placed his remains in trash bags.
There's a bug flying around you.
What the fuck?
It's just like a gnat, I think. But if you can see it on the camera, it's right by your boob. Oh, it's on you. Don't move.
Ugh.
I got it.
Get it. Good.
It was just a tiny baby moth, which I actually feel bad that I just killed.
Okay.
I feel like that's bad.
That's right. Moths are bad.
No, they're not.
They do too. They eat your clothes.
They're hungry and they eat cotton. Sue them. Okay. Calm down.
Bad moths.
Fucking Jeffrey Dahmer of moths over here.
All right. Later, okay, so he initially buried the remains behind the house, but later he dug the remains back up. I can't even imagine being able to do this. Dissolved the flesh away from the bones using acid, crushed the bones with a sledgehammer, and then he just scattered bone fragments in the nearby woods.
Which is why they were looking through that area for so much, because they kept finding what they believed to be bone fragments. And there's no way of knowing that they even found. He crushed them up.
They did find very little, but yeah, they did.
So that's why they looked for so long, because they found some stuff. So they were like, well, nobody has just a femur. Like, where are the other bones?
Yeah.
So that's why they spent such a long time
he
searching.
He told them what he did. That's why they went and looked, because otherwise they never would have. They didn't have him for that murder.
No, I know that. Yes,
okay.
That's why. But I'm saying once they were there, that's why they spent such a long time looking and trying to preserve the scene, because it's, first of all, it's on a hill, and it's all wooded. There's like a house and there's just trees, and it's just a wooded hill. And it's not like kempt. It's like when the leaves fall, they die there, they rot there, the grass grows up the next year, and then just over and over again. It's not a It's not a yard with its mowed, or it's just woods.
Yeah.
So Yeah, it's a beautiful area, beautiful wooded area, but a little creepy now.
Yeah, it is. Stephen Hicks was reported missing, but searches were very limited and no evidence was found at the time. And his disappearance remained a cold case for 13 years and never would have been solved probably if Jeffrey hadn't have confessed to it.
Right.
So after his arrest in Milwaukee, then he voluntarily disclosed Stephen Hicks's killing and led investigators to the approximate disposal area in Ohio. Very little physical evidence remained, but Stephen's family was able to finally get closure.
Yeah.
All right. The drifting years. So
she said, all right. All right. On to the next murder. Okay, let's go.
I'm just a positive person.
She is. She can't even help
it. Just a upbeat person.
She's just she's a happy girl.
So that was when he was 18. What did I say that was? 68? Was that
78?
78. Yes.
78 is when he was 18.
That's when his first murder took place.
Yes.
So after the first murder that he got away with, he enlisted in the Army, and that was in 1979.
Okay.
He was stationed in Germany, and he was really suffering from severe alcoholism. He was reported to have poor hygiene and very erratic behavior. And he was discharged early in 1981.
He went to Germany, like Oktoberfest all the time, shit-faced.
I wondered if he was honorably discharged, and the answer is no. It's
dishonorably discharged.
He was not dishonorably discharged. He received what's called, and I never heard of this before until now, a general discharge under honorable conditions.
They basically were just like, thank you for your service. You know what? We're not in a war right now. Why don't you just go home?
Pretty much.
Why don't you just go home? You're kind of the smelly kid in the barracks, and you're a little weird, and you know what? Your country's good with you at home. Why don't you just take care of the home front, son?
That is a wonderful way to describe it.
It's what they should have done with, what's that, Full Metal Jacket? Officer Pyle, Lieutenant Pyle.
Lieutenant
that
Pyle.
Sweet simpleton. I can't even finish that movie. It makes me cry every time.
Really?
I will watch the Jeffrey Dahmer series over and over and over again, but I cannot watch Full Metal Jacket without crying and like wanting to throw up and not feeling good for like 3 days.
When they beat him with the socks and the soap in the socks.
And he's just kind of like
just slow,
like legitimately like mentally retarded guy.
Choke yourself, Pyle.
Yeah. Like
Gomer Pyle.
I can't. I will talk about Jeffrey Dahmer.
Not with your hand, with my hand.
I will talk about Diane Downs killing her 3 kids. I cannot handle watching that movie. Something about it. I feel like that's what they were like, okay, you sweet simpleton.
And the guy that played him, what an amazing actor.
Yeah, why can't I think of his name? He was in the
stars has a V
Law and
in
Order
it.
Criminal Intent.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
I don't think that's it.
That's it.
It's close.
It's D'Onofrio.
I think you're close.
That's it.
Yeah, he played in that one with Jennifer Lopez too, The Cell.
And he was in...
And he did Men in Black.
That's what I was going to say.
Wearing the Edgar suit.
When it crushed his van or whatever, he was like, it figures. It's my favorite line.
The only thing that works around here is my goddamn truck. And he goes, figures. Yeah, no, I love him. So great. Versatile actor. But yeah, I can't watch that movie. But that's what it reminds me. That's what they should have done
for Pyle.
For Pyle, was just been like, go home, you sweet simpleton.
Yes.
Go stink up your own house.
A general discharge indicates significant problems with conduct or performance. In Dahmer's case, the primary issue was his alcoholism. He was repeatedly intoxicated on duty and unable to function as a soldier.
I kind of don't get why that wouldn't be dishonorable. If it was just that you're like fucking weird and you don't know how to bathe yourself properly and you're like, you can't regulate and go to bed on time and wake up and you're like, I can see the Army being like, there's nothing dishonorable about you, but you're just fucking stupid. And you're like,
You're just weird.
just go home, you know? But like alcoholism is okay, I'm going to say it's a choice because you were choosing to drink. Do I get that it's a disease and that it's an addiction? Yes, I do. But I don't see the army being like, well, he has an addiction. I see them being like, you're a fuck up. Stop fucking drinking. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a little weird.
I don't, that's weird.
This was 81. So he was in the army for 2 years before they generally discharged him under honorable conditions. It's a weird distinction there.
Just go drink at home, son.
Yeah, pretty much. So Jeff's post-army life was not great. He was arrested multiple times for public intoxication. This was while he was living with his grandmother in Milwaukee. So after the army, he moved in with grandma.
Yes. Okay, that was where grandma came in. That's what I was like, I know that there's a time where he was living with his grandma. That's what it was.
Yeah,
yes.
That's when it was. He experienced continual sexual fantasies involving unconscious men. And there were no killings for nearly a decade. But the fantasies were starting to really take over. So,
well, and the brain was fucking diminishing.
Yeah.
From excessive drinking. All of his fucking organs were probably diminishing at that point.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not excusing it. I personally know plenty of alcoholics who don't go around trying to lobotomize and rape and kill people. So, no excuse.
So he went from 79 to 87, which is almost, I guess that's 8 years.
Wow, yeah.
But 87 to 91 is considered the killing spree. And Dahmer, he actually talked about this and said there's a clear cluster of triggers that he himself identified himself. He didn't describe one single moment. Instead, it was a perfect storm that tipped fantasy into action. So the first kill had changed everything. That was in 78.
Yeah.
He said after that kill, he discovered that murder eliminated abandonment. And he learned that control through death worked for him.
They can't leave if they're dead.
The act itself became linked to sexual arousal. He later said, once I did it, there was no going back. And the spree didn't start immediately. It just was incubating. The thoughts
I feel
were
like
there.
the same thing about most killers is they learn like ultimately it's about control in one way or another. And since he had this abandonment issue, control for him felt like not being abandoned. That was like his crux, right?
Yes.
The crux of the issue.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sure once he realized like, I can have some company and some sex and they can't leave or tell me no or reject me. Oh my God. How exciting. You know what I mean?
It really was.
I don't think, but
so
it was never,
weird.
I don't think it wasn't about the kill as much as it was about
that was just something he had to do to get there.
Yes. Yeah.
He had to get through it.
But I think that he did feel bad about it, which is why he went 8 fucking years without doing it again. I think he was conflicted and he ultimately did know that it was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then after like years of trying to live like a normal person, he was like,
and failing. He was just
fuck it. I'll just fucking do it. You know what?
Exactly what it was.
Isn't that always, don't we hit like 28? Didn't we say that in another episode? You get to like 28 and you're just like, you know what? Everything I was ever told is a fucking lie. I'm going to start doing what the fuck I want now.
Yeah.
And for him, that was killing people.
That was following his own way.
Yeah.
So throughout the 80s, Dahmer's fantasies were intensifying, and he said that he became very focused on unconscious partners, complete passivity, and bodies rather than people. So
yes.
Big distinction there.
Yeah, he was compartmentalizing, and he was dissociating from the person who has a soul and has a family and has feelings and emotions and
needs,
and just
wants.
Right. He was trying to completely separate anything that would have to make him feel bad or empathize with this human spirit and just looking at it as a body.
Yeah.
Which I think is also, I think a lot of killers do. That is exactly what they do. They do separate, and you know what I mean? I mean, that is pretty typical of a lot of people who...
Yeah, but for them, it's the actual killing that's the thing.
Sometimes. I think sometimes it's the killing is sexualized. Sometimes, how many people do we know? We've even talked about people who, what they really wanted to do was overpower, like in a grape situation, if you catch my drift on the grape. So we can get away with saying words. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
An essay. The killing was just because, like, well, fuck, they're going to tell. You know, they didn't, oftentimes in essays that lead to killings, they only started killing because the first few, when they went away, ratted them out. Yes. And they were like, well, fuck, I can't get away with overpowering and getting this sexual fantasy out of the way. Now I'm going to have to kill him just so I don't get caught because I don't want to go to jail. Again, that's a byproduct. That wasn't
part of the thing.
Part of it, you know? So it's not always.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. That's exactly true. Good point. So with bodies in mind rather than people, he had tried non-lethal substitutes first, like heavy drinking, having sex with unconscious men, and visiting bathhouses.
Yeah.
So when these failed, the fantasy demanded permanence. The killing spree began in earnest in 1987. So he would have been about 27, which is exactly the age that we talk about. People, there's just something clicks around that age with people.
Yeah.
He was no longer living with his grandmother. He had moved into his own apartment, and he had the privacy, the isolation, and the lack of supervision that was needed. There was a trigger event. It was the murder of Stephen Tuomi.
Yes.
Dahmer had blacked out from alcohol, and he woke up in a hotel room with a dead body beside him in the bed. And he realized that the killing had happened without his conscious planning or even awareness. And that just took the barrier away. The barrier no longer existed.
And I think that's just a way to a cop out. I think that's just a way to, again, try to remove himself from feeling responsible. Like, yeah, he did still admit, like, well, I knew that I did it, but there's still just that little bit of needing to remove himself from the situation. I still think that it shows a level of, sociopathy.
He stated that the realization, one, terrified him, but two, emboldened him. He stated that he realizes this is when the barrier.
Yeah. I was blackout drunk. I don't remember, but I guess I did it. And then I guess I didn't mind doing it. So I kept doing it. It just is, that is still typical of any fucking serial killer.
He had been fantasizing about it for a while.
Yeah. It's still just a way to, like, slightly remove yourself. Like, it's fucking excuse. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I got you.
It's still just, I think it's just a fucking load of bullshit.
Okay.
At that point, how much would you have to drink to get blackout drunk? I mean, for a guy who's been heavily, excessively drinking.
For my mom, a bottle of vodka.
Like downing it.
The huge kind.
Yeah.
Not just like a little pint.
No, like a handle.
The big value size.
Yes.
Bottle of vodka.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, okay. So Dahmer said the alcohol had lowered his fear. It lowered his empathy. And it lowered his own self-control. And that once intoxicated, he stopped resisting the urge to kill. So murder became an option rather than a crossed line.
Yeah. Right. I think it helped him? Yeah. But I think it's because he knew it was wrong and he just wanted to take away the inhibition of dealing with accountability.
I see that. Yeah.
You know?
I could agree with that.
He fucking knew it was wrong. That's why I tried not to do it for so long.
Yes.
You know?
Oh,
And then
yeah.
eventually he just got tired of trying and was like, oh, well, I was drunk. So, you know,
It
it's
lowered
just,
his ability to care.
yeah.
I mean,
He did what he ultimately would have done anyways.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think if you could go far enough back and stop the drinking and get him into some therapy, he would
It might
not
have been different.
He wouldn't have done what he did. I think that he could have been helped earlier on when he was a teenager still. But
what a shame. Ugh. To become the monster that he became.
what a shame for all the victims
Yes.
that there was no one around that fucking interjected and got this kid out of the fucking house and
Yeah.
fostered him or counseled him at school or
whatever it was he needed. He just wasn't.
Yeah.
He was just left to his own devices.
Because kids, and I'm saying when he was a kid, because kids need that. Because kids don't know how to guide themselves, you know? It is on us in communities to look out for the kids in our communities instead of just being like, oh, he's the smelly kid and oh, he's a drunk. Like, why the fuck is this teenage boy a drunk? Like, what the fuck? Where was anybody to be like, are you okay?
Right.
Like, yeah. Everyone's so quick to judge, even children.
And that was kind of the 80s. I mean, I think about that time in 88, I would have been 15. I was drinking Jack Daniels almost daily.
That's fucking wild.
Yeah, Jack Daniels almost daily. Skipping school almost daily. So that was, the year before I got pregnant with you. And I was on a downward spiral, or I just didn't care.
Yeah.
And And
no one else.
No
one gave a shit.
Did anybody care that I was skipping school or notice that I was drinking heavily? No. So I don't know, maybe it was an 80s thing with a certain type of parental figure.
A certain community, I can see it.
Well, by 88, Dahmer found that fantasy plus opportunity plus intoxication aligned to create murder, which delivered control, silence, and zero rejection, which is what he fantasized about.
Yeah.
So that's what turned isolated violence into a repeating pattern and made him a serial killer. His profile, victim profile, he seemed to choose mostly young men of color, which is what I believe I've heard, if I remember correctly, from that Profilers series that we've talked about before. FBI Profilers.
The Mine Hunters?
Yeah, the Mine Hunters.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, typically serial killers murder within their own race.
Yes, typically.
So he went outside of that.
So here's some thoughts I've had on this. I think there's many different ways, and no one way has to be right or anything. So this is all just thought, or speculation rather. But did he go after blacks because he was gay and he heard like black guys have bigger dicks? Could it be that? I don't know. Could it be more calculated? Could it be that minorities are taken less seriously? And when minorities are targeted, they historically have been there's been less police involvement.
That is the truth. That's a great point.
Could it be that he knew that if little white boys went missing, that white families would press the police and the police would absolutely not stop until they got answers?
Well, they did. They did for Stephen.
Yes, that they wouldn't do the same for blacks. You know, how calculated was he? I don't know. Like I said, was it just a big dick thing? I don't know.
Yeah.
Was he just attracted to black men? Was it more simply that if he was going to be bringing him back and spending time with them and wanting to keep them forever, that he thought darker pigmentation was sexier or more beautiful, more like.
That's interesting.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
You can have types. People have types.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's It is interesting. Points. It is interesting to me though. Like, what was it? Like,
yes,
those are the things that have those are the things that have gone through my mind when I think about why was it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, the other aspects that were the same as they were often gay or bisexual. They were lured from bars, malls, and bus stops. That was his hunting ground. And they were typically promised money for photos or companionship. In other words,
right.
You know what I'm saying by companionship. So his method, once he got them home, he drugged them with sedatives. Then he would strangle them while they were unconscious just to get it out of the way.
Yep.
And then he would perform his necrophiliac acts. After that was over.
Google that if you don't know what that means.
Yeah, just Google it. It's disgusting. After that, he dismembered.
Don't Google image. Just Google definition. Yeah. That's all I meant.
Ugh. Oh, I just got chills. Ugh. Dismembered the bodies in the bathtub. And sometimes he preserved the skulls or the genitalia or other organs. And sometimes remains were consumed. And when asked why, he believed that was a way they would never leave. They would exist inside of him. And he described it as something he felt compelled to do, despite knowing it was horrific.
You know, it's funny. I've watched a lot of things on him before. And then I watched the Netflix monster series on him. Mm-hmm. And all of those things made me like want to empathize with him and like try to understand and try to be like, there was something worth saving in him. I felt this way for a long time. And something now about you reading it here in this setting, as you're telling me the story, my opinion is flipping.
That is so funny because I have always felt the same way. I've always kind of felt a sympathetic, kind of the way that you do for Hannibal Lecter. You kind of feel a sympathy.
Right. Like,
and you kind of like him.
He seemed, right. He's like likable. Almost a likability to him because it's like almost like a gentlemanly, but then I don't know what I can't.
They're not the same. And I don't mean to think that Jeffrey was gentlemanly.
Also
fictional,
but no.
But it's that likability thing where you want to find
something likable and you want to say.
You feel bad for him.
Yeah. Like, well, like, this poor guy.
Poor guy.
But something about. Thing. As you're going on
and as I was doing the research myself, and it's always been that way when I've watched documentaries or whatever.
For years, I felt this way until just now.
Doing the research myself, too, has lost all of that, whatever it was.
No, I am looking at him in this moment. I started out. I mean, you can just...
Instead of feeling sorry...
I don't feel like he's your standard sociopath.
Instead of feeling sorry, I feel... afraid, like a monster. Like he is truly a monster. There's nothing to feel sorry about in this.
No, there's nothing redeemable. Like as you're something about like you just saying something about just that last paragraph you've been through. Something in me went, there's nothing redeemable about this person. Mm-mm. Not one redeemable quality. Mm-mm. And I have seen so much stuff on him before.
Not even his honesty. It's just because...
No, the honesty, again, is just a complete lack of fucking care.
He just doesn't care.
Give a fuck.
No, that's it. That's all it is.
He sees nothing wrong with it.
Which is the difference. Because before I felt like his honesty was a self-knowing...
Like he reflected and he felt
there was something
bad
wrong with him, but there was nothing he could do about it.
Yeah, yes. And now I'm feeling like, no, he just doesn't give a fuck. He's just that flat. A monster. Like he could just... cut people up, saw them apart, lobotomize them, do all these things that he did, and he just, like his heart rate never even went up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, and I did say, I know that I did say before that there was an extreme selfishness in him, to like, he didn't want them to leave him. Mm-hmm. And yes, that's true. But yeah, he did have that kind of morbid curiosity, like cutting someone up is a lot. Mm-hmm. Like that's a lot to do physically, emotionally, in every way. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And
wait till you hear what he actually says about it himself later on.
And for him, it's just like a science experiment. Yeah, it's just like, not such a big deal. You know? And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why, but like suddenly as you're telling me this, I'm like flipping and I'm just like, no, I don't know if there was ever any saving him. I don't know. I still think that if you could have done without the drinking.
Reminds me of how an alien would be that takes a human to his planet to study.
Yeah.
The way that you depict them, where they just don't even really care because they don't even see you as one of them. You're just
no hard feelings. I just need to. I gotta do my science experiments. You're terrified.
They don't care what they're doing. Yeah.
Yes. Then there's just like a Jeffrey Dahmer who could look at a whole fucking human and be like, I don't fucking care.
Right.
I want to see how the parts come apart.
And then necrophiliac it.
And then
once it stops moving,
fuck its parts and then eat its parts. Like what? Like, how do we get there? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, just imagine that happening to your brother.
No, right. Exactly. And then you go back to they were mostly gay. And for him, I don't think that was strategic. I think that it's because he himself had homosexual so he was, interested in men.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, it didn't hurt. Or it certainly didn't help the investigation because people weren't taking those crimes. Like, oh, he's probably off doing some gay shit. The cops didn't want to take it seriously. Well, this is what happens when you do gay shit. The cops were like...
Where do we talk about the one victim?
Yeah, the cops were like, oh, well, fags be fags. What are you going to do? Like, they didn't care. No. You know what I mean? So, again...
It was tacky for them.
I don't think that it was strategic for him, but I think that it helped him. Now... The black thing, I think, could have been strategic. Like
quite possibly.
Hunting within your category that you want to hunt with, honing in on the ones that'll be less likely to be.
If we want to give him credit for having intelligence, that would have been a very intelligent move based on how the police responded to the crimes that happened to any minority. Or
was it all truly dumb luck because he didn't seem to give a shit? He never evaded arrest. And then when he was caught, he was like, oh yeah, I did it. I did this too. Go check Ohio. Like, was it all just dumb luck until he was finally caught? Because there were plenty of times where he was almost fucking caught anyways.
Yeah.
And he's still just, okay, go ahead.
Let's go on. We are really elaborating here.
I know. It's an interesting. Dahmer should have been a two-parter. What were you thinking?
I guess so. I don't know. I didn't realize that you knew so much about it.
Oh, fascinating. I think maybe that's why we've tried to empathize with him for so long too, is because it is so heinous.
Yeah.
That we absolutely have to try to find.
It is so shocking.
Something redeemable. Yeah.
Let's talk about the victims of Jeffrey Dahmer. We're going to go in order, and we're not going to go into great detail. There's not a lot anyways.
Most of them were young.
Because of who they were.
And they were gay, so they weren't, their lives weren't probably very public.
Well, it's more like what you said. Their lives didn't matter to a great number of people. So the ones that mattered, we go into a little more detail because I have more information to go off of.
Right.
So we're going to talk about, first was Stephen Hicks. Then that was in
78.
Then Stephen Tuomi in 87. So that took place in Milwaukee, as we said. Then there were two in 1988. So we went from one, then 8 years, and then one.
In 87, and then we went a year. And then two in 88.
And two in 88. That was James Dockstader, and he was only 14. That was his third victim. He was a Native American youth, and he was lured with the promise of money, according to Jeffrey. One of Dahmer's youngest victims. So there were more that were young. Number 4 was Richard Guerrero. And I apologize if I'm pronouncing these wrong. I really want to do, a good job. Justice for the victims. But I honestly have never heard some of these names before in my life. So Richard Guerrero was 22 years old, and he was an aspiring model. He met Dahmer outside of a gay bar, and his family did search for him for years. So that's why we know a little bit more about him. In regards to that, and as you'll see with some of the other victims, his victims were good-looking guys, talented people, aspiring model. You know, that's a guy that can obviously have anybody he wants, and he chooses Dahmer. And that just goes to show you that Dahmer did have a certain appeal.
Yeah, he had a likability.
That people were attracted to, and they went with him. And we'll talk about it more later, but that just remember that point. Then, so that was in 88. Then we get to 89. There was only one victim, and there's a reason for it. So his name was Anthony Sears. He was 24 years old, and he was actually known to Dahmer personally. After he was killed, his was one of the first skulls that was preserved. So now Dahmer's actually keeping artifacts now, or what would you call it? Not an artifact. It's not a dinosaur dig.
Not a artifact.
It's a fossil.
Merriam-Webster definition of artifact, a dinosaur dick.
What I didn't mean to call it an artifact, but I
know what you mean. Like a memento. Like
they keep the thing they can go back and what do they call it? They have a name for that.
Yes, I know.
Not talisman, but
talisman.
Is that what it's called?
No,
I didn't think so. But
no, but it was just funny to hear you say it. You really like that came into your head, but the word that we're trying to think of.
I feel like it starts with a T, not token.
Hold on, I can't. Hold on. Why am I saying like momentum? Like memento? It's not a memento. It's a
trophy. I know it started with a T.
Yes. Why can't we think? We are fucking dense, dude. Oh my God. I need more coffee, dude. I'm struggling. Fucking brains, synapses, fire. Do it. The things. Yes. So he started keeping trophies.
Yes. So
she's calling them artifacts because the trophies happen to be bones. Like a fucking archaeologist. He fancied himself an archaeologist.
Oh, good Lord. Why me? I'm so sorry. Okay, so the reason there was only one in 89 was because he was the last victim before Dahmer got arrested and convicted for sexual assault of a 13-year-old boy. Of course, I couldn't find out much about that because they protect...
Because it was a child. Because it was a fucking child.
Yes. So he apparently...
So the fact that he was able to get back out at all is...
He served 10 months after pleading guilty to second-degree sexual assault and enticing a child. He said he had drugged and assaulted him. And then after the 10-month period, he had 5 years of probation and 1 year in a work release program. So that's why there was only one in 89. He was in jail for 10 months. So then in 90... just almost right after he got paroled.
He was itching.
His sixth victim's name was Raymond Smith, also known as Ricky Beeks. He was 32. He was an aspiring dancer, and Dahmer lured him to his grandmother's house with money to pose for photos. That's using that intelligence. What can I do to get this guy?
That's what I'm saying is that he did show a level of calculation, and he didn't always go for children. You know, some of them, like this first victim or second victim was 14 because the first, they were both 18. So that's within his own, you know, and then he was, 27 and it was a 14-year-old. And you're thinking like, oh, wow, like, of course you go after someone who's not going to be able to put up much of a fight. But he didn't keep that pattern of behavior. He really went for like whoever was giving him attention that night, even if it was a man his age or older that could potentially physically win in a fight against him.
Exactly.
And you don't see that. You see a lot of people who like Gacy go for younger people. You manipulate them with money because they're more vulnerable in that way.
Exactly.
But then they're less believable and less likely to win in a fight against you. You know what I mean? There's the physical domination there. You don't want to have to fight too much. You don't want to work for it.
Right.
Although I think at some point, John Wayne Gacy got old and fat enough that they probably could have kicked his ass. But regardless, neither here nor there. But I think that it's interesting that it seemed like whoever he went out that night, he'd be like, they're going to be the one. And it didn't matter.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
How can I get them back?
If he happened to meet eyes with that person and then they struck up a conversation, he seemed to figure out a way to get them back to his house, either by noticing that they might be gay and he would say, hey, I'll give you some money for some favors.
And he couldn't have smelled that bad or looked that bad, because dudes getting close to you at the bar and you're like whispering, like, want to go back to my place, would have been like,
no, I'm telling you,
no.
This is the man who had bad hygiene.
That's what I'm saying. He had to have like figured out how to.
That's another point I want to make later.
Oh,
about,
really?
Yes. There's something about male hormones and need for sex, I think, that is so strong that when you go into Jeffrey Dahmer's house or apartment, Rep 213, and smell decomposing things.
Oh, no, I think that's two different things. I'm saying he presented his body well enough to be able to get dudes back to his apartment. I think as soon as they were outside the door, the dudes started thinking, I don't like this. And as soon as they came in, they were, yes, because social.
They took a drink. I wouldn't have, if I'd have smelled a decomposing something, I would have said, oh, I forgot. I gotta be somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have gotten out of there.
And I think that they probably did say things like
himself. He had poor hygiene in the Army. He was a severe alcoholic. I think that he probably had body odor, and his clothes must have been permeated with the scent of decomposition towards the end. But towards the end,
for sure.
That's what I'm saying. But still, and we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree that people were so willing to be like, okay, well.
Yeah, I'll give you a BJ for,
and he was
$80.
like, yeah, sorry, my neighbor's apartment stinks. And they're like, okay, he said it's the neighbor's. And they get inside and it's like clearly not the neighbor's, it's his. And he's like, yeah, sorry, it's the fridge is broke, so I have some rotten meat. And sorry, my neighbor's apartment is, shit. And people are still willing to be like, okay, maybe.
I mean, what woman would ever do that? What woman would be like, yeah, sure, I'll have drinks with you. Just let me hold my nose. I mean, I don't know, to get some sex.
How many?
Or to get money to perform some acts.
How many people are in situations that we don't feel good about, but you feel too awkward and too maybe a little bit suddenly afraid or on edge that you don't say exactly what it is that you're thinking. Like, I want to get the fuck out of here. It stinks, Or like you don't, you kind of like.
This is true. I probably would have sat there and had the polite.
I'm telling you, you're the fucking prime example of somebody who would have sat there and just drank the drink because you would have, because
even though you
wouldn't want to have hurt anybody's feelings. Yes.
Probably. You are probably right. I see what you're saying.
I'm saying that I think it's a way to victim blame, to be like, why didn't they get the fuck out of there? And I'm saying because social situations rarely work out like that, because we are willing to believe.
I was just thinking, men don't have social manners. They just want sex and they'll do anything and put up with anything for it.
And could it also have been that a little bit of their blood was more in their dick than in their brain? And they were like, what smell? Because they're drunk? Yeah, absolutely. Do I think dudes do that? Like all the blood goes to their dick and they stop having rational thought? Fuck yeah. Absolutely.
It happens. Yeah, that was what I was hypothesizing, but I totally see what you're hypothesizing as well.
I'm saying that smell probably very quickly rushed the blood back to their brain, but they still were like
being polite.
Yeah.
At that point. Okay. I got you. So he lured him to his grandmother's house with money to pose for the photos, and that's where he was killed. And then that's another skull that Dahmer kept as a trophy.
And also, don't forget, the victims weren't able to tell us what the fuck happened. We're going by his own account. How do we know that he didn't, that they were like, I don't think I want to come in. And he's like, all right, well, just let me grab my camera. Come inside, we'll grab my camera. We'll go take pictures outside if you hate the smell so bad. And then they stepped 1 foot in and he fucking jabbed him with the fucking Windex syringe and drugged him. And they never even had a drink. Or, we're still only going by his account. Maybe they were almost immediately like, you know what? Fuck this. You're fucking weird and your place is a dump and it smells like fucking dead animals in here and I'm getting the fuck out. And he was like, no, the fuck you're not. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't.
You know, like.
So even when murders happened elsewhere, Dahmer would store body parts at his grandmother's house. He hid items in closets and locked containers. And his grandmother actually noticed the odors and she noticed his strange behaviors, but she never investigated or discovered any of the remains.
I think at that point, if there was any inkling, or especially if the dad had ever suggested to her that he had a weirdness about him because the dad was aware of his fascination with animals and shit.
Yeah.
If that ever got out, the bare minimum is that she thought that he was keeping animal carcasses, let alone something much more sinister and worse.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where, and I know that you'll get this, it's one of those things where you just go, it's fine. Everything is fine. Like the meme. Like, because you do know that it's not, but you do not want to go investigating.
Gotcha.
You do not want to question it, or you don't want to push it, or you don't want to ask because you know you're not going to like the answer. You don't have to get the answer that you don't like if you don't ask and you don't push it.
That's true. All right. Number 7. This was Edward Smith. He was 27 years old and he met Dahmer at a bar. Dahmer later admitted that he felt the compulsion was escalating at this point. Number 8 was Ernest Miller. He was 22 years old, and he was another dancer. He actually physically resisted Dahmer and was killed after a very violent struggle. So.
It's so sad.
It is.
And yeah, and now when you're talking about it, I'm just thinking Jeffrey just finally was so happy to have people talking to him and not thinking it was weird, but thinking it was fascinating. That he was just like, oh, yeah, I did this and this, and I get to talk about myself. You know, now he's seeming more like a normal piece of shit serial killer than ever to me.
Well, what I'm noticing is, you know, this isn't some poor guy who couldn't find a date. Who couldn't find companionship.
Right.
He didn't want companionship.
Actually,
lots of people liked him.
Actually, if he would have just maybe cleaned his apartment and it didn't smell bad, they would have opted to just come back more.
And stay. He was attractive to people. So,
and he was hitting the same bars.
Yeah.
And still, and the guy, same scene. You know how we frequent the same bars, and there are less homosexual bars, and they're kind of a tighter knit community for safety and things. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of these guys had to be seeing him regularly after years of going to the same places.
Establishments, yeah.
And still being like, yeah, he left with Ed last night, but he left with Steve last month.
Yeah.
And
Ernest.
And they're still willing to leave. And then where the fuck have Ed and Steve been since then? And they're still willing to leave. Like, yeah, he must have been, he was pulling dudes.
He was compelling.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can't feel sorry for him because he didn't want that. He didn't really want their companionship. He was attracted to the deadness.
And you can say, like, he didn't know how, like.
He didn't want to kill him. He just had to because what he was attracted to was their deadness.
Yeah, what it was ultimately, it was control over everything else. And it wasn't a fear of abandonment. Well, it was. He was afraid he was going to be abandoned because he wasn't willing to be rational to say that, first of all, people are allowed to leave you. And second of all, some people won't. Like, are you even giving them a chance to not to? Like,
yeah, we come to one of his victims that is like that. So, all right. The last victim of 1990 was David Thomas. He was 22 years old, and he met Dahmer at a mall. Dahmer actually later said he felt absolutely no sexual attraction to him, but he killed him anyway. And that shows the compulsion was overtaking the fantasy.
Yeah.
So then we're moving to 1999. This is the final year.
Now, well, I think that's what he says. And I think, to me, what I'm hearing is it's just a fucking game at this point.
Well,
at this point, it's just, well, who can I get back? And who can I, like.
We'll dive into that a little bit. What he says about what was happening.
Yeah.
What he was
diagnosing.
Yes.
Because that's whose opinion I want, is the psychopath's opinion.
I am curious about his what he says about himself.
I think that it is very telling, and I think you can learn a lot from what he says. But it is a reading between the lines situation and not a reading verbatim situation. You know what I mean? You can tell just as much by how he says it, what he says, how he phrases it, and what he's not saying and what he doesn't admit. You know what I mean?
I just think literally
it's a learning experience.
Doesn't care.
But
I just think he says everything that he thinks. And I don't think that, I just don't think he cares about public opinion of him. I just think he says literally whatever he thinks, and he believes everything that he's saying, and he just doesn't care.
Oh, no, I think I'm agreeing with you. I think he does absolutely believe everything he's saying. I think he doesn't care. And what I think is that what he said matters not. The idea of the fact that he didn't care, that tells me something.
Oh.
The fact that he said, I was feeling this way and this way and this way, but never really says how the victim must have been feeling.
Right.
That's very telling.
Yes.
The fact that he said, well, I was drunk and I woke up and he was dead, and that's very telling. I'm learning from what he's saying, but not because I'm taking everything that he says at face value, and that's what I took away from it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I think that interviewing him is crucial into learning the mind of a psychopath and the mind of an evil person. But again, I would not use it as the movie, The Monster, Netflix series, was completely done based on his telling of how things went. Do I think that's fair to the victims? No. Because do we know that that's how it really went?
Yeah, we don't.
No.
We're just going by what it is word.
Yeah. Does it make the victims look like they were willing to come and sit in a stinky apartment to get their dick sucked or to get a picture taken of them or whatever it was? Yeah. And do we know that that's how it went? No. We know that that's what he told us. But why the fuck do we take everything he says at face value? You know what I mean?
Again, it's that damn likability factor. He is compelling. He's got some kind of charisma with somebody that is as flat as they can be.
Yeah.
There's something very charismatic about that, about him.
Yeah.
And it's compared with the fact that he is good looking. I mean, personally, I think he's a good looking guy. I don't think he's Robert Redford, but he's a good looking guy. You know?
I agree. And I think the fact that he comes across so flat, he doesn't get over animated about it, makes it more sellable, makes it seem like he's not trying to sensationalize it. He's just telling a fact, because he says it so flatly.
Yes.
Maybe he's flat because he's fucking insane.
He is. He's just a monster.
And he sees things through his insano vision, Well, this is how it happened. Well, what happens if we take off your fucking insano-vision glass? Maybe if there was a fly on the wall, they'd tell the story really fucking differently,
Yeah. So, in 1991, we have escalated from 4 to 8 victims in 91. Victim number 10 was Curtis Strotter. He was only 17. He was a high school student, and he was lured with money. Another one of his youngest victims.
I think the greatest of all evil here is money, I think is what we keep getting at.
Jesus. So then victim number 11, his name was Errol Lindsay, and he was only 19. He attempted to escape, and he was killed after being subdued. The family remembers him as gentle and artistic. So, again, just that artistic type, dancers, models,
Yeah, just normal people who just, if you're modeling and someone offers to take headshots, you're just excited. You're young and you're just like, finally a break. Everybody thinks like, when's my break going to come? And you're like, finally, this guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about. I can get some headshots cheap, you're just looking for any help. Or you go to the bar and you had a rough week and he's cute and flirty and is into you and you think like, we're going to have some great casual sex, whatever it is. Like none of those things should be so demonized or,
Right.
like, and then of course there's a whole other aspect of it being gay, which is the problem. But how many of you straight people that are so fucking offended by gay people have had fucking one night stands?
Right.
Like take away the stigma of the homosexuality. We have definitely all had sex with people and regretted it, or you know what I mean?
Like, sure.
Sin's a sin's a sin. You want homosexuality is a sin. I sure hope that you weren't having sex before you were married or mixing fabrics.
Right.
All
right, let's not get into another Bible thing.
I could always get into that.
Let's talk about victim number 12. His name was Tony Hughes. He was 31 years old, and he was a deaf man.
Right.
He communicated with Dahmer via notes, and he was considered one of Dahmer's more emotionally significant victims because they had this relationship that was based on these notes. And it made, for some reason, Dahmer feel more superior to him, which made him less anxious around him.
Yeah, he wouldn't hear him coming.
He felt accepted by Tony Hughes and not judged by him. So, in other words, he felt that Tony had to view him as a better person because he had his hearing. In other words, he felt that Tony actually liked him and, thought highly of him, put it that way.
That's how he felt about
That's how he felt. He described Tony as a kind person. And he said, even though he was kind and even though I felt less anxious about him and liked the relationship, I still killed him. So that just goes to tell you he's a monster.
Yeah.
It's not about companionship.
I will say it's almost honorable that, he didn't discriminate. He wasn't like, I can't kill this kid. He's fucking deaf. That's
You are wrong.
He was like, I don't care if you are blind, deaf, dumb, white, black. I will fucking kill you and chop you up. I am an equal opportunity killer. That's admirable.
Lord. So then let's talk about this name I am going to get wrong, but he is one of the most important victims. 14 years old. His name is Konarak Synthasamphony.
Oh, it's like an Indian name. Yes.
Yes. It was May 27th of 91.
Can I see it in writing?
Yeah. This was victim number 13.
Yeah. Yes.
This was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He was a Laotian American boy.
Okay.
He lived with his family in Milwaukee, and he was very quiet and trusting and vulnerable. He was not involved in any crimes or risky behaviors. He wasn't like a male prostitute or anything like that,
Right. An at-risk youth.
And he should have been protected by any system that was in place at the time. So what happened? Dahmer had encountered Konarak and lured him to the apartment. He drugged him, and Konarak became disoriented, but not completely out. So he managed to escape the apartment.
Yeah.
So Dahmer at this point is just being careless. He's just kind of drunk and he's just kind of careless. Yeah. And Konarak was found naked and bleeding and confused. But he was unable to communicate clearly due to the language barriers, the trauma he had been through, and the drugs that he was under the influence of.
Yeah.
2 women had discovered him and called 911. And they repeatedly told the dispatchers that this was a child in danger. So 2 Milwaukee police officers arrived, and what they observed was a naked, injured minor. He was very disoriented. And then a man, who was Dahmer, claimed that Konarak was his adult boyfriend. Dahmer showed ID. Konarak didn't have any. He was naked.
Which, again, shows a level of he couldn't have been that drunk he had to be pretty fucking convincing and pretty calculated because he talked his way out of the situation.
This is true. Officers did not verify Konarak's age. They did not separate Dahmer from Konarak for questioning, and they did not enter the apartment beyond the doorway. So, despite the witnesses were protesting, the officers accepted Dahmer's explanation. This is my boyfriend. We had a little fight. We're a little drunk.
Do I see the blatant red flags here? Yes. Was this a fucking complete fail on the police's part? Yes. Was this not 1990s? The fucking height of the AIDS epidemic and people like rallying for gay rights and saying like, stop discriminating, stop shitting on them. These people are dying, like quit, like, you know, and there was definitely a stigma of like, if I give this guy a hard time, people are going to say that I'm bashing him because he's gay and I'm going to have to fucking deal with that. And do I think that we can give the cops like this much grace because they were just like, this is a gay problem, like go deal with it. And they were trying to treat it the same way as they would treat any other domestic situation at that time, because it could have been a man and a woman and they'd have let that man and that woman go back in that apartment and he'd have beat the fuck out of her too, right? They were trying to treat it like any other domestic situation, which is you go back inside and you handle it.
Well, this was the 90s.
I know.
So the laws had changed regarding domestic violence back then.
Yes, but have gay rights not been playing catch up always?
Gay rights, this was a gay thing. This had nothing to do with domestic violence and them saying it's your problem, you go handle it. This was, I feel, I'm going to challenge you a little bit. I feel this was totally, I even wrote it down because, well, let me finish.
Okay.
After they gave Konarak to Dahmer and left, a police radio recording captured one officer joking about the situation to the other. They
didn't take it serious.
Didn't want nothing to do with the two fags.
Yeah.
It was all about faggoty shit. It's taboo to us. I don't care if there's been a crime.
They had it coming. It was almost like what the
bleeding,
fuck ever.
the anally bleeding fag bleeding his AIDS blood on my cop car. You know, just get me away. Oh, you say he's your boyfriend and he's of age? Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah. No, and I see that. Absolutely. Just them being like, what the fuck ever, you two. Do whatever kind of gay shit you're going to do. I don't care.
Yeah. And they were joking about it. Oh, it's a lover spat.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So Konarak was taken back into the apartment and murdered shortly after that. And he died because help failed him. And it was a total, it says a lot about how police officers can be intimidated by certain things, or
that they don't understand.
They just don't want anything to do with it.
Or that they don't want to understand. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And it showed that certain trainings needed to be in place.
When you have a preconceived notion about something and, you know, especially any inkling of discrimination towards something, that's absolutely going to cloud your judgment.
If they had, you know, saved the gay faggot, the other officers might have made fun of him.
Right.
Might have not let him live it down. Oh, maybe you're sexually attracted to that boy. Or whatever. Right.
Instead of just treating every situation like a person who needs help.
Yeah.
Regardless of their creed or religion or sexual orientation or gender, any of that. Like, this is a person who's bleeding and seems disoriented.
Mm-hmm.
I should help them. We put on the filter of, well, they seem gay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they're mixed races. Oh, and we put all of these like little glass filters over it, and then that's how we see it.
Yes.
Instead of removing all of our biases and all of our thoughts and then just being like, this looks like a person who needs help. I'm sure you guys are in a relationship. So what the fuck ever. I don't even care. you can do your gay shit later, but he seems disoriented. I'm taking him to the hospital to get checked out. So if he's your boyfriend, come and pick him up there.
That's what should have happened.
You know?
Yeah. So, well, okay. Aftermath, the officers were initially fired, but get this, they were later reinstated with back pay.
I'm not surprised.
The Milwaukee Police Department actually faced national outrage over this.
I'm sure they did, but isn't hindsight 2020 in this situation?
That's the thing. It took this to make changes happen.
Do I agree that they needed to be fired? Yeah. But do I also know that there were probably only, let's say there's 100 people on the police department, just for the sake of easy numbers. 99 of them would have done the same exact thing.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
So you'd had to fire the entire fucking police department, which in that I'm including like the chief and the lieutenant and the heads and the whole, that's how they all would have thought. That was the time. That was the mentality. Yeah. Like, yeah. So what do you do? Fire the whole fucking department? Maybe. I don't know. Burn it to the ground. Well, no, I don't know. Maybe
these guys were the patsies, or
right. But somebody's got to be the ones that finally like. Where we all, like, not me, I would never have felt this way, but the other cops, if I was one of them, I would have been like,
glad it wasn't me that day.
Thank God it was him that did it, because I'd have handled it the same fucking way, and then he got fired, but I didn't. But now I know I better take these faggots seriously. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's probably what they were thinking. Like,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
instead of just, it
was probably like 98%.
Treating humans like humans. Yeah.
I mean, we don't know. I don't want to say that because I don't want to put down officers, and I don't want to put down people. I don't want to assume that 98% of people are against faggots. Like that's how they think of them.
Yeah.
It may only be 2%, and 98% of the officers would have done something different. Wouldn't have seen them through all these horrible lenses.
Right.
So I don't know. I can't speculate on that, but you are right. Obviously, something was going on that caused these cops to have. I think if it
was just those two, and they were in the ratio was 2% were racist, bigoted, whatever, queer bashing people, and the 98 was good, they'd have lost their jobs and never gotten them back, and no reinstated pay, because nobody would have had any qualm, and no union would have been able to fight it. You know what I mean?
Yes. Okay.
The reason that you can fight those things and that they won their case and were able to get a job back and get back pay is because they were probably able to bring evidence that supported like this kind of shit had been going on, and they thought that it was the norm, and they thought that they were acting within their jurisdiction.
Yes.
That they did handle it properly based on past protocols and past procedures. And so, and I don't know.
We'll check this out.
I'm also always just talking out of my ass, but
the lawsuits were filed by the family, and they did win a civil settlement of about $850,000, claiming. So it was a settlement. So they couldn't say, they had to word it correctly. The claim is that police failure that sent a 14-year-old boy back to his killer.
Civil suits are easier to win than criminal suits because the burden of proof is less.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why a lot of times you'll lose, like, even if Jeffrey Dahmer would have lost the criminal, like, if he would have walked free from murder, somebody's family might have sued him civilly for their son being killed and absolutely won like $2 million.
Yeah.
You know
same thing happened with O.J. Simpson.
Yes. Mm-hmm. A lot of times you lose the criminal case, but that does not mean that you can't seek civil justice. But civil justice a lot of times looks like a victory in court. And then.
Well, this was just as they settled.
Yeah.
So they
might have actually gotten their money.
They settled saying, well, it was a police failure that sent a 14-year-old boy back to his killer. In other words, they claimed no wrongdoing. And that's why the police officers were reinstated with back pay.
Well, this is why we settle, because those processes are very long, very expensive, very taxing, emotionally draining for the families. And eventually, if the police department is willing to admit any kind of like wrongdoing or whatever and offer some money to help you settle eventually, you know?
Yes.
But, and they probably did get their money. Like, I'm saying,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
whoever sued OJ probably didn't get much money.
Probably
because what the fuck, he didn't have any. Like I said, a lot of times it just looks like a victory on paper, but you don't end up with any money. And even if you do, it doesn't really make you feel better that your fucking son got brutally murdered because nobody cared about him.
Right.
Because they thought he was gay.
Right. So after that, the incident became a case study in racial bias, homophobia, failure to protect minors, and deference to authority over evidence. So a lot pivoted because of the incident, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
It's just a shame, you know.
Like so many of our cases, it takes somebody dying for somebody to be like, oh, we should probably have treated them more like a person.
Right. So, yeah, number 14 was Matt Turner. He was 20 years old, and he met Dahmer at a bar, and he was killed just weeks before Dahmer's arrest. So it's really escalating. We're just boom, 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 you know, it's
out of fucking control.
Out of control.
Well, he felt emboldened. He'd been doing this for years. And you know his apartment had to fucking stink.
Oh, yeah.
And no one was doing anything about it, and he was still getting away with it. Yeah, he thought he was untouchable.
Yeah.
And I was looking at it before, like he was like just literally just that detached from life and just, you know, and now I'm not. Now I'm looking at it like he just didn't give a fuck. He just thought he could get away with it forever.
Well, the number 15 is Jeremiah Weinberger. He was 23, and he was from Chicago, Illinois. Oops. He was a 23-year-old man visiting Milwaukee socially. He was described by friends as kind, curious, and trusting. He had no idea he was entering the final weeks of Jeffrey Dahmer's killing spree. Jeremiah was not transient and not isolated from loved ones. His disappearance was quickly noticed. He had met Dahmer at a bar, and Dahmer offered him alcohol and companionship. So Jeremiah agreed to go back to Dahmer's apartment. Nothing about the encounter appeared threatening at first. What made the incident different was it stands out because it marked a shift from killing to experimentation. Do you know this guy? Do you know this one?
Probably.
So Dahmer said he wanted to create...
Is this the one where he tried to keep him alive?
A permanent companion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By lobotomizing him?
Yes.
With chemicals?
Yep.
Yeah.
He wanted someone who would remain alive, but fully submissive. So he's testing to see... Okay, and there's a reason for this, which we'll get to. But he's no longer getting anything out of the way he's been doing it. That's why it's escalating. Right. He's trying to get that first feeling back. He can't achieve it.
Still trying to gain any kind of control or feel a sense of control. And what he's doing isn't giving it to him anymore.
Yeah, he's no longer getting anything out of it. So now he's like, let's try to create a permanent companion that is alive but fully submissive. He believed it could be achieved through this crude, unscientific method, which was drugging the victim to render him unconscious and confused. And then he attempted brain damage. So what he thought was disrupting brain function would eliminate his free will, but preserve basic bodily function. The belief wasn't medical or scientific. He had no medical knowledge. Well, I mean, obviously, I don't even need to say that. But when the victim did not behave as he had fantasized or imagined that he would, he just left him unattended until he eventually died from the injuries and lack of care.
Yeah.
So
can't go like poking people in the brain and no follow-up medical care.
His idea had come from pornographic fantasy and a control fixation, as you've been saying, and then alcohol-impaired reasonings. I mean, it
Yeah.
obviously wasn't going to work.
It doesn't show much.
But he was willing to go there and try it.
It doesn't
just to
show
see.
much calculation.
Like, in other words, has anybody tried this before? I'm going to try it. Let's just see. You know, he just didn't care. So,
I mean, he probably was like aware enough to know that lobotomies were practiced at some point, and they did make people docile, you know?
That's true.
So he had like this really crude understanding of how to get somebody's inhibitions and just frontal lobe, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Functioning.
Yeah.
You know, mental capacity diminished, but not enough actual scientific knowledge or understanding of human anatomy or brains or procedures to like do it correctly.
Right.
If it even could be done correctly. I don't even think you could do a legitimate lobotomy like they used to and have a person
acid in his brain. Let's see what happens.
Right. Like have a person
maybe
not
he'll
walk
be a
out.
zombie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just stupid. Just fucking stupid.
It's just sick. Oliver Lacey is victim number 16. He was 24 years old. He was a bodybuilder. And he met Dahmer at a bus stop. He was his last victim. No, I'm sorry. He was the second to last victim.
Yes, he was the second to last.
I apologize for that. But again, a bodybuilder. I mean,
somebody that should be able to physically overpower him, or somebody who probably could have met anybody and gotten sex or gotten a picture or gotten a ride or any of the things that whatever he was looking for.
Right.
But thought Dahmer was acceptable.
Yeah, because Dahmer didn't look like a creeper.
Yeah.
You know?
Like you said, at this point, I don't know how he didn't smell like one.
I'm sure that he did. But okay, so Jeffrey Dahmer on why it stopped being satisfying. This was the part I wanted to tell you about earlier. So he consistently said that the murders lost their emotional payoff long before he was caught. There were several overlapping reasons that came up in his confessions and later interviews. He said his original fantasy was companionship without abandonment, total control, and a partner who wouldn't leave. But over time, the killings became mechanical. There was no emotional fulfillment for him, and bodies stopped feeling like substitutes for connection. He described it as becoming empty and routine. In other words, the fantasy collapsed under the repetition of it. And I think that's just his fancy way of making it sound less of what we said it was.
Again, just trying to dissociate yourself from what it actually is, which is just cruelty.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then he claims that by the late 80s, he was drinking constantly. He was often blackout drunk during the murders, and he sometimes forgot details of what he had done. He admitted that he killed even when he didn't really want to, and alcohol drove his behavior more than desire.
And I think all that's bullshit.
And you're probably right. But this was the part that was interesting to me about what he said about the bodies, because before it was all about the bodies.
Yes.
And that's why he ate the bodies and saved the body parts. And what he said is that the bodies became work, not desire. He said cleaning, dismembering, and disposing of the remains. That's how he was talking about it.
Yeah.
Became exhausting and stressful. Oh, I got to clean it. I got to dismember it. I got to dispose of it.
Right.
He complained about the smell.
All this work you've completely created for yourself.
Yes. He complained about the smell, the neighbors, having to
always
talk about the neighbors,
yes.
or explain things to the neighbors, and running out of space to put all this stuff. And as well as the fear of being caught. He said the anxiety of all that eroded the fantasy, that the victims no longer felt special. Early on, he fixated intensely on individual victims, but later they began to blur together. There was no emotional attachment, and he describes them as interchangeable.
Yeah, and like I said, his telling of exactly what happened doesn't mean much to me, but I think that you can learn a lot from it.
Mm-hmm.
His telling of, you know, it just became so much work and this and that. Is he just saying that because he got caught and he just wanted to seem like, yeah, that's why I gave up. It just was getting to be a lot anyways. What's the point? You know, like instead of like having to admit defeat to himself that his little ruse was over. Or
oh, that's one way to spin it.
Is it that he didn't want to face the fact that he was getting older and that drinking had diminished his abilities and it was getting harder to do these simple things because he was a fucking piece of shit alcoholic who didn't have the strength to clean up his own messes anymore. You know, like I can spin your story too. See?
Did he work at the brewery?
Did I at some point I thought that he did. Yeah.
I thought he did too.
Yeah, it's just you can spin something anyway. You know what I mean? And what do they say all the time? There's their story, my story, and then somewhere's the truth, right?
Okay.
So where is the,
truth?
Where's fact in this? What can we say is fact for sure from this? Which is that no normal person can do this. Being a drunk does not make you capable of cutting up a person or eating a person or doing any of these, you know what I mean? Like those are facts. So, yeah, it just is.
Well, by 91, his apartment was chaotic. Evidence was literally everywhere. Everywhere you looked, everywhere you turned. He was taking bigger risks and he stopped caring if he was caught. He admitted that part of him expected arrest, didn't resist it, and felt relief when it happened. He said something close to, I couldn't control it anymore. So that's what he had said, if you believe that.
Yeah. It must have been exhausting.
I'm sure it was.
I'm sure that it was exhausting living this life and feeling that much fear all the time of being caught and like your neighbors are honing in on you and stuff. Yeah. I'm sure you're feeling stressed out all the time. And I'm sure the drinking was making you feel like shit. And, I mean, most serial killers end up caught and then, you know, three hots in a cot the rest of their life. Right. I mean,
yeah.
Although his was
his short life,
short-lived. Yeah.
Well, let's go on to the final incident. It's Tracy Edwards. He was a 32-year-old man living in Milwaukee, and Jeffrey Dahmer approached him near a mall and had offered money, drinks, and time together. And Edwards agreed to go to Dahmer's apartment. So, according to Dahmer, nothing about the interaction immediately suggested danger to Edwards. Once inside, Dahmer offered him a drink, and Edwards later said the atmosphere felt tense and wrong. Dahmer was playing loud music, asking Edwards to pose for photos, and became increasingly controlling. Then he suddenly handcuffed one of Edwards' wrists and claimed it was part of a game. And that's when Edwards got really scared and tried to leave.
Yeah.
So he managed to break free and he fled the apartment wearing the handcuffs. And then he ran through the streets yelling for help until 2 Milwaukee police officers responded. He was alive, coherent, and physically present with evidence on his body, which was critical in the difference of why they responded to him and not.
Or he was able to speak for himself.
That's true.
Yes. Whereas the other person had been drugged and probably was drunk already too and
spoke a different language.
Yes.
Yeah. So Edwards told the officers a man had tried to restrain him and that he feared for his life. and then officers escorted him back to the apartment. And this is the part that I was talking about. Like, he went there, he's sitting down, he's having a drink. Dahmer's playing loud music, asking him to pose for photos, getting controlling with him, and demanding that he do
smell
things.
bad.
The police noticed it as soon as they opened the door.
Yeah, everybody said that it smelled fucking
But
terrible.
this guy is just, and what you and I were talking about is,
yeah,
he was just being polite. I mean, I would have had to get out of there. I'd have been throwing up. You know, why was he just being polite? I mean, I don't know, but that's what I'm talking about. Was it really that important for him to get maybe the quote unquote time together that he was promised?
Really wanted his dick sucked that bad?
I mean,
I don't know. Maybe he had, COVID-19 and he couldn't smell things. I don't know. I don't know.
The police said the first thing they noticed was the strong odor, and there was a general sense that something was definitely off. Dahmer was acting oddly but cooperating. And then one officer opened a drawer, and inside the drawer were Polaroid photographs of the dismembered bodies, and that immediately changed the situation.
Yep.
So they immediately handcuffed Dahmer and secured the apartment and called for backup. Further searchers revealed the severed human head in the refrigerator. I mean, talk about a horror. House of Horrors. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Body parts in the freezer. The chemical containers that he was...
The barrels, the drums.
With acid.
Dissolving people in.
Yeah, dissolving people in. And then the evidence of multiple victims.
And that might not... I don't know, because I'm not an expert on dissolving people yet. But I would assume that in a drum like that, the way that they're sealed, there isn't an odor that comes out until you open it back up and close it again. So maybe it's not a constant odor there, but if you got to open it up to dump your next victim in, the fucking smell's coming out right then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then a fridge is cold, but like I've had hamburger in my fridge that just I forgot was in a drawer for a couple months, and it's fucking, you open the fridge and it fucking stinks and the whole kitchen starts to stink.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way that that's not being noticed.
Oh, they noticed it.
Yeah.
Neighbors noticed it. The police reactions, quote unquote, was beyond anything I had ever seen. It didn't look real. Their stomachs dropped, they said, when they realized they were in the presence of a serial killer.
Yeah.
And they said that training had not prepared them for this scale. Which, yeah, how could it?
You? Even if you watched a million movies about stuff like this, seeing it in person and smelling it and feeling it and all of your other senses completely being you can't train for that until you're in it.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to believe what you were seeing.
There's no training.
No.
That's why people in the Army have PTSD. You go to boot camp, you go to all this, you go to basic training, you do all this shit. When you go to war and you come back, you're fucked up.
Yeah.
Because you can't train
Good analogy.
What you're going to see. They can tell you might get shot, your buddy might get shot at, you're going to have to shoot someone. But until you actually do experience that, you can't.
That's so true.
Know how you're going to feel.
Yep.
No, there's just, no, that's people who are going to get absolutely paid leave and
oh my gosh.
Be out of the force and just like, yep, okay.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm good.
Right. So Dahmer, of course, was arrested on the spot, and he didn't resist, and he later said he felt relief. Within hours, he began confessing, and the scope of the crimes became very clear. He was charged with 15 counts of murder, but then after he confessed about the first one in Ohio, it became 16 counts of murder. And he pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. The prosecutors said Dahmer was fully aware, methodical, and controlled. The defense said he was experiencing compulsive paraphilic disorders, So what the diagnosis was from the defense: necrophilia, paraphilia, antisocial personality disorder, and alcohol dependence. So the paraphilia part is so sick. Again, just Google that.
Yeah.
But the verdict came back that he was sane, and he got 15 consecutive life sentences. What's consecutive means one after the other or all at once.
One after the other.
So later they added the 16th for the murder in Ohio after that. But in prison, Dahmer was initially placed in isolation, but was later moved to the general population at his own request. He had become religious and was baptized as a Christian, and he accepted guilt fully. But in spite of that, he showed no remorse in an emotional sense. He did acknowledge responsibility, but again, was flat
Yeah.
about it.
Again, I think all he just did was just admit it. Like, yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have of. Sorry, those people are dead. Again, that's just saying words.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't truly show that you, I don't know. I always kind of feel, and maybe this is weird, and maybe this makes me weird. I always kind of feel like if he really had reflected and was capable of such a deep inward look.
Okay.
And he had found Jesus and read the Bible and realized on many levels, realized as a human what he did to other humans, realized as a Christian what that meant.
Okay.
I don't know that I could feel that you actually understood unless you killed yourself. I'm going to need you to fucking hang yourself in your own cell with a note that says, like, it just dawned on me what I did. And that's all the note needs to say.
Okay.
And then I'd be like, oh, he felt bad.
Yeah,
he
that
actually
would
took his
that
own
might
life.
prove he felt bad.
I don't know that past that there's anything he could have done that would have made me, because everything else is lip service. Everything else is just talk. You can fucking say anything.
Yeah.
Because if I let you out tomorrow, you would fucking do it again.
Right.
You don't actually, you just know what to say. You know?
Yeah. No, I can totally believe that.
I don't know. I'm not saying I think people should kill themselves if they do something wrong. That's the only way to, I'm saying him. Or, situations like that. Diane Downs would have been another one. If it really dawned on you what you did, she wouldn't even admit it ever. She wouldn't even admit it.
No. All right. This part, in 1994, so this is 3 years after his conviction.
Yes.
On, guess what date? November 28th.
Oh, the day after my birthday.
He was in Columbia Correctional Institution, which was a medium security prison in Wisconsin. And he was 34 years old. And the man who was with him's name was Christopher Scarver, and he was serving life for murder. So Dahmer was vulnerable, but after a period in protective custody, he requested to work and live in the general population. He had become known to the other inmates, and guards were assigning inmate work crews with limited direct supervision. So in other words, they were work crews, but they weren't really watched. The guards would walk away.
Well, they're in the prison. You don't have to, where are they going? Like,
right.
Go in there and mop. I don't need to be watching you like you're 3. You're not going to drown in a bucket.
Right.
Like.
So that morning's work detail, Dahmer and Scarver were assigned to clean areas near the prison. I'm sorry, near the prison gym and the locker rooms. Remember how he killed that one
with the barbell?
With the barbell.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. The officers briefly left the area, and Scarver attacked Dahmer using a metal bar from the gym equipment. Basically crushed his skull. Yeah. Another inmate was also attacked.
Out of him. Yep.
And they both died, obviously. The guards did return quickly, but Dahmer had sustained catastrophic head injuries and he was transported to a hospital and pronounced dead shortly after. Scarver later said he was disgusted by Dahmer's crimes and he believed that Dahmer mocked his victims, an allegation others disputed. But he claimed religious motivation, saying God told him to do this.
Who's to say he didn't? I'm not going to tell a man what his conversations with God were.
It's interesting that his perspective was that Dahmer was mocking his victims, because that's something maybe off camera that he was able to pick up on.
There has been speculation that he was talking shit and trying to make light of and joke, and they did that in the docuseries too, that, you know, that he was making jokes about it that were really off-putting to people that showed that he didn't care. But
okay.
Also,
see, I didn't see the docuseries.
Even if that wasn't true, and all he had done was only in interviews talk about his. God damn it! I spiked it a little bit. My bad, everybody. Sorry if it went.
The noise reducer takes that away.
Okay. Well, it's still working though, so we're good.
That's good.
Even if all he had done was respectfully talk about his victims,
yeah, quote unquote, respectfully.
Is that not still just talking about yourself?
Yeah.
And maybe that's how it came. Maybe this guy was
it's a way of reliving it.
This guy was like, you didn't feel bad. Maybe even if he wasn't like making light of, he's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Stop talking. Unless you're saying anything, but I'm so sorry and I'm a sick, depraved piece of shit.
Right.
Don't say anything, you know, like maybe just talking about it at all or speaking at all. You know, maybe this guy just felt like you've lost the right to speak. You know?
Yeah.
There are all different kinds of thoughts on murder. Even the Bible is a little bit back and forth, an eye for an eye, or forgiveness is, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I don't know that killing Dahmer was right, but I can tell you that I'm not going to lose sleep about him getting his fucking head bashed in.
Yeah. I mean, and the victim families, on the one hand, felt relief, but on the other hand, would have liked to have seen him have to suffer in prison for the rest of his life. You know, like on the one hand, they were like, okay, good. He got murdered. He got a taste of his own medicine. But on the other hand, we're kind of like, yeah, but he deserved worse than that. He deserved to live a life in prison, which would they considered be a long, more.
And I have my own opinions, and they don't matter because I wasn't one of the victims, and one of the victims was not my son or brother or friend or so.
Okay.
If they think it was great that he got his head bashed in, I'm happy for them. If they are sad because they think that he should have absolutely lived as long as he possibly could behind bars and had his freedom taken from him, I will cry with them. But
okay,
only their opinions are the only ones that are
how
going
do
to
you
matter
think
on that.
If this had happened to your family member, which scenario would you have preferred?
Personally, I think either way you feel shortchanged because justice is a theory and not something that is attainable. That is a personal feeling of mine. I think that justice is the thing that we tell ourselves to try to regain control because we're all control obsessed. But what does justice really look like? Because I think I would have got the call that like, oh my God, like, Courtney, you know, that guy who killed your brother, somebody beat him in the fucking head and crushed his skull in prison and he's dead. And I think a part of me would have been like, haha, good fucker. But a part of me would have been like, oh, I still feel empty inside because regardless of whether he lived or died, my brother didn't.
Yeah.
And is gone forever. And there's no bringing that back. So what the fuck do I ultimately care what happens to dude? Because my life is without now. And I think a lot of people deal with that when they go through a crime of any kind of like, just feeling like, okay, like, I'm glad you went to
solve anything.
I'm glad you went to prison because now I know you're not hurting anybody else. And it gives me a little bit of sense of peace. Like, at least somebody knows and validated that you did this to my family. But I think the whole idea of like a jury and trial and stuff, in this case, he was kind of caught red-handed, right? So we never doubted that he did the things that he did. But in other
True.
cases where you think you find a killer based on DNA evidence or just in good investigating, but like no one caught them red-handed and they go to jail because a jury decided to believe the prosecution's story or not, how does that bring you justice? How does that, that doesn't bring back your loved one or the feeling of security or safety that you used to have. Like, the only thing that can restore your peace is yourself anyways.
That's true. And you can take your grief and turn it into something positive, like, what's his name? Is it Walsh? Who is for children, missing children? Is it John Walsh?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
His little boy.
Yeah. Yes.
Was kidnapped.
I know who you're talking about.
So he turned his life into helping find missing children.
Yeah.
And is his name not John Walsh?
It's not, but you're close. I can't think of the guy at I thought it was Rivera.
No, that's Geraldo. Geraldo Rivera was a TV personality, but
I thought that's who you're speaking. I thought that was. Oh.
No, I'm talking about.
I thought that was his story.
The children. No. I'm pretty sure his name's John Walsh.
Oh, maybe you're right.
And his little boy was kidnapped, and then later they found his head.
Yes.
And he was just taken out of the mall while his mom was shopping.
Yeah.
And what the heck was the little boy's name? It's right on the tip of my tongue because they had a movie and it was titled his name.
I feel like I've seen it, but I also can't think of the name. But I know exactly what you're talking about.
But John Walsh is the one who then hosted.
Yes.
Hosted the TV show.
Yeah. I know Trim out here. Hold on, I'll look. No, and I think a lot of times you hear about survivors of something becoming impact speakers about something or starting an organization in something. And that's wonderful. And if that's what helps them feel better and what helped them move on, like, great. I just think that it's sad that that's what we hear so often is like, who knows what their fucking life could have been before this happened. And now they've completely dedicated their lives to helping other people through terrible situations. Like, it's great, but it's also just sad. Like, maybe they could have just been a fucking astronaut and never had to think about violence or crime again. Like,
that's true. I mean, personally, I'm sure that's what they would have preferred.
Yeah. Like,
but since this did happen,
turning it all into something,
the fact that they can do something, not that they should, not that means there's something wrong with them if all they could do the rest of their lives was.
Yes.
Yeah, that's him, John
Walsh. Yes.
So now you know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, he was a big advocate for missing children and catching bad guys.
Yes. America's Most Wanted.
And crimes against children.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Adam
was his name. Yes.
Adam Walsh was his son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is just if you're in that situation, there are many roads you can take, and hopefully you can find a road that would bring you some sort of
peace again in your life. Yeah.
And whatever it is, that's what I wish for the surviving families or survivors themselves, that they can seek that
healthy peace.
Yeah. Get therapy to help you find that,
work through it. And yeah.
That's
what I'm saying. I'm saying that when I think about justice, I think justice ultimately looks like the victims or the victim's family, which are victims in and of themselves, of the crime, subsequent victims. I think justice looks like them living a peaceful life again.
Yeah. Regardless of whether the victimizer is found or not.
What if the criminal never gets caught and they're able to avoid, like,
okay, I can see that.
You're just tortured your whole life.
I was going to say on a strictly primal level, if that happened to me, to my family member, I would be like, oh, thank
justice
God
looks like,
they bashed him in the head.
Justice looks like you getting your fucking
His
head
was
bashed in.
Crushed. Yeah. I would, on a strictly primal level.
Yep.
But that's not me. I am not a revengeful person.
Yeah.
And, truly, I would find my justice through peace. Yeah. It wouldn't look like yeah, I want your head bashed in. But secretly, I want your head bashed in. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
And I don't know. Like, I can't
secretly,
say.
it makes me feel good that you got your head bashed in. You fuck.
Yeah.
I hope it hurt. I hope it hurt a lot.
Yeah. I hope you didn't die. I hope you died slow.
And, you know.
Right. No, like I totally get it. I'm not out to judge anybody. If you think that that was absolutely wrong and killing one person doesn't make up for it, like, that's not like, okay, fair enough. But if you're like, yeah, good, I get that too. And if it had been my kid, I ain't saying I wouldn't have tried to end up in that jail to do it myself, you know? Like, I
do know.
What does justice look like for me? Maybe justice looks
that
like
girl. Did you see the girl who
instant karma?
The victim statements, the impact statements, and she just lost her shit screaming at him.
Yeah.
And, you know, you couldn't have even had me in that room because I couldn't have restrained myself from trying to choke the shit out of him.
And you've seen courtroom cases before where, like, they get up there with a letter and then just dive at the person instead. I get it.
I do.
I don't know how I can't. I'm not going to sit here and say that's not what I would do. If I ended up in a situation like that, I have absolutely no idea how I would handle it.
That's true.
And it might very well be choking the fucking life out of somebody. It might very well be never going to a single court case and never sitting there, not doing anything and just crocheting for the rest of my life. I don't know. I don't know how I'd handle it. I hope I never have to know how I would handle it.
On that note, that concludes our episode for the day.
What an interesting episode, Mom. Absolutely. Yeah, and I'll tell you, I personally, wild, like this story.
It was. And I am so happy for all of your insights today and that you knew stuff was going on. And maybe we should have more episodes where you know what it's about, because you sure did add a lot. The fact that you knew things that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Sometimes it's fun to be in the know. Although I know about this case and I still couldn't remember the fucking name of his high school or anything. Sometimes I still just can't think, but.
Yeah. Well, I researched it and went over it several times and couldn't remember Bath, Ohio.
Yes,
so
Bath.
There you go. But we'd like to thank you. And again, if you are happy with what you're seeing and hearing, please subscribe.
Let us know.
Give us a like or a comment.
Comment what you think. Let us know what you feel about beating people's skulls in. Let us know what you think about police involvement in these crimes, and if you think the police dropped the ball or not, or if they were, if they were just duped like the rest of us. Should we hold police to a higher standard to see through charades like that, or are they still human?
Yeah.
What do you think? Let us know what you think. Comment, and please subscribe if you haven't already.
I've got a great case coming for you next time.
Yeah.
So another good case. And for now, though, thanks for stopping by.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.